Hey, what's up? My name is PJ, and you are listening to the Music Photo Podcast, session number 12. Welcome to another episode of the Music Photo Podcast. My name is PJ Pantelis. I'll be your host for today. You can find me on Twitter at PJPantelis. This week we are very lucky to be joined by Caitlin Boland of KTB Photo and Design. She's a very talented Brisbane portrait photographer. I can vouch for that. She did my portraits recently, which are going to be on my websites and my socials. She's someone who I really relate to because we shoot in a similar way and even edit in a similar way. Quite deep, punchy tones, nice and sharp, contrasty with the use of strobes. I really love and admire her work. You're going to want to stick around until the very end of this one as we discuss things such as making someone feel comfortable who's not used to having their picture taken, shooting portraits with strobes, single versus group portraits and the difficulties involved, and also some geeky retouching workflow and Photoshop stuff too. Caitlin is an absolute ray of sunshine. She's just one of the most happy, kind, positive people I know, and that really comes through in her work and also just any interactions online, the way she presents herself, her websites. She's just an absolute joy and she has so much love to give. As always, the show notes can be found at bigpantsphoto.com/podcast. For now, enjoy my session with KTB. Caitlin, how are you this morning? Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for asking me. Thank you for providing this awesome podcast and sharing it with the world.
Oh, that's my pleasure. You've been one of the best supporters, I think. If no one else, you're the only one that likes my posts on Facebook, so thank you.
Well, I have set up the little get notifications, so I'm definitely right onto it.
You are the best. What have you been working on so far today?
Today, I've just been finalising some design work for a burlesque performer, and I've been importing some makeup shots from yesterday.
Okay, cool. And I hear you've also been working on another very handsome set of portraits.
Yes, definitely. Very handsome.
For anyone listening, I actually did a session with KTB last weekend. Some new promotionals and stuff for my website and socials, so I can vouch for her portrait photography skills, which is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about getting the best out of people for photos.
Excellent.
So, first of all, when you meet someone and have to point a camera at them, that's a bit of an unnatural situation if you've never been in that before. How do you make someone comfortable and how do you get someone in the right frame of mind to make good pictures of them?
I guess I can understand, like when I first started, I was swapping the camera with my friend. Yep. And we were taking photos of each other. So I guess like that experience of sitting in front of the lens as well, I can understand. Like heaps of people are always saying, oh, it's like it's like school portraits. And I'm like, oh gosh. And that automatically makes me just want to make everything feel more comfortable and better. So I just say anything. I say anything that comes on my mind and anything that might make them feel a little bit more at home.
Yeah.
So I guess having that genuine and kind atmosphere, makes them feel a little bit more comfortable in front of the lens.
Yeah, kind is a very good way to describe how you are on your shoots and just in life in general. I guess the school photo thing, I mean, now that I think about it, that's really the only time that someone, the average person would sit there under a bunch of lights and have their photo taken. So totally. I kind of understand it. Even though that's not the vibe we're going for, I kind of understand why people would say that.
Yeah, exactly. It's just nice to say anything and do anything and not have to worry about judgment or prevent from saying anything in particular. Just act as friends,
Yeah, absolutely.
We're all human.
So I think a lot of people might have something about themselves that they're unhappy with. Maybe, a feature, let's say it's a a spot on one of their cheeks, or maybe they don't like their nose or something. Do you think that shows in the photos?
As in,
So
you know,
like it shows in the way they act. Do you think it shows they're uncomfortable with themselves?
um, yes. But I guess that's only towards the start of the session. I think towards the end, and you've shown them a few photos or something like that, or I'm showing how much I love the photos already or something
Yeah.
like that, that I guess they forget about it.
What are the most common things, the most common complaints that people have about themselves in photos?
Women, their flabby arms, quote.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I would never have picked that one.
Oh, really? Oh, that's a major one. I guess it's just really weird looking at yourself in photos anyway. Like even I just get so freaked out.
Yeah.
Or when you watch yourself in a video, it's just completely so strange. So
It,
I guess that initial feeling is already there. Um, yeah, but as the session goes on, they're feeling a bit more comfortable and yeah.
it is really weird. I often think of that because when you see yourself in a video, or even when I listen to my voice on recording, it's really weird to think that that's what I look like. That's my voice. And I'll never actually get to see that in person.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Did you know, like, isn't there that thing where even if we're looking at ourselves in the mirror, other people don't see what we see in the mirror because it's opposite?
Because it's backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, how weird is that?
That's
So we
so
don't
weird.
actually know what we look like.
Yeah. That's like I'm not sure if you're an avid selfie taker, but if you take a selfie with, like, let's say the iPhone camera, it flips it. Whereas if you take a photo in, let's say, Snapchat or something, it's exactly how you see it on the screen.
Oh, right.
Have you noticed that? So if you take the same photo with both apps, you get a completely different
Oh, wow, that's trippy.
view of yourself. Yeah, it's really weird. So you mentioned before that females have the thing about the arms.
Yes.
What differences do you notice in shooting males and females?
Males are great. They don't complain about anything. And if they do have anything they're worried about, I don't think they really care. They don't really voice it. And that makes it not necessarily good or bad, but I just can take photos and see what their reaction is towards the end of the session. Yeah, there's no real complaint about men.
Yeah, I guess I'm definitely very comfortable with shooting men just because I've done so much of it with the band stuff.
Yeah.
But it's something I would love to improve on, shooting girls and just making them feel comfortable and realizing the things that they want to see about themselves in a photo.
Yeah,
So
I think what I said to you in the session, sorry to interrupt.
No, go for it.
I think what I mentioned to you in the session is just like the shadowing and the lighting that might make them appear slimmer or enhance something in their face, or slimmer arms, or their muscles, their toned bodies enhanced, or something like that. Just something to do with the shape of the light that falls on them.
Yeah.
I think really helps.
One thing that I've always thought of but never actually done is if I was to shoot, like, let's say a model, or for some reason had to shoot a solo female, just me and her in the room.
Yep.
I always thought it'd be an interesting experiment to go through that person's Facebook or Instagram and see what photos of themselves they've chosen.
Oh, okay.
To see what way to shoot them.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's an interesting way. I think that would distract me from my work and the way that I see them, because I'd rather see the beauty in them and what I should capture out of them coming to the session, rather than, I guess trying to make them what they've already seen, I guess.
Yeah, I almost just mean more so, do they prefer a side of their face?
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yeah, just it's interesting the way people present themselves when they can control everything that goes online.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hey.
Yeah. So you shoot a lot with strobes, which I really like because I like to do as well.
Mm-hmm.
What are your favorite modifiers?
I like the Octobox from Alien B.
Yeah.
I'm not a very technical person, but I like even using them to soften gels as well. It feels very cinematic, and you can play with the white balance and some colors later on. So that's why I like sort of the soft boxes for that reason. And also you can like take off the whatever you call it, the coating. See, I don't.
Oh, the screen.
Diffuser,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
You can take off all those layers, and it's completely different. So it's very versatile. And I can shoot it up really nice and high and create some beautiful shadows, or I can be really flat and straight on. So I've always just stuck to that. Um, I like the beauty dish, uh, but it's definitely for a selective look.
Yeah.
I noticed that if I don't use it in the right way, I've probably really fucked up my photos. So
Okay.
I would prefer being safe with the softbox, yeah. With
Yeah.
the octo box, yeah.
Yeah, I love the Pulsey Buff Octoboxes. I've obviously used them quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
Um, I was about to say something about that, which I have forgotten. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. How do you use the gels with the Octobox?
I don't know how anyone else does, so I apologize if it's incorrect or really bad, but I just open up the diffuser screen.
Yep.
And I shove it in to sit in the metal pipes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it just sits around the bulb.
So it's like the grill that sort of encases the flash bulb.
Correct.
Okay, that's a really clever idea that I'd never thought of.
I absolutely highly recommend it. It is absolutely amazing. I can just it makes all my colorful dreams come true.
Yeah, I actually have some stuff that I want to ask you about your colors a bit later, but I'll push on. I'll save it.
Yeah.
What do you so in the session that we had, and I've also noticed in some of your outdoor portrait stuff, you like to use ND filters.
Yes.
Can you talk to that a little bit about the way you use those with strobes and why?
Okay. Because I really like a lower aperture, the softness it creates, and it's a very unique sort of look, especially with the strobes.
Yep.
I put it on my camera purely for that reason, so that I can use a lower aperture and still have a beautiful, strong studio light. Yeah.
Is there any loss of detail, or is it harder to focus? What are the downsides?
If you're outside, yes, it's harder to see what you're shooting through the viewfinder, obviously.
Yeah. Is it, if it's harder to see, does that mean it's harder for the camera to focus as well, or does the camera still read it the same?
Like, because you're obviously on a lower aperture as well, it gets difficult. But I don't use it I don't use it for the whole shoot. It's only just for a secondary look, you know what I mean? Like another variety of the shots. So I just use it for about 5 minutes or so, because you can't see much.
Yeah, sure.
I know that's so bad, but it's more about the art and what you get later than being technical about it. So
yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, it's really nice at the Makeup Academy as well. We're not outside or anything like that. We're still inside. But there's some very, like for the bridal looks or for the very soft feminine sort of looks, it just really focuses on the makeup rather than the entire shot. It just makes more focus about their work and softens everything else around it. And I can still bring out the colors with the studio light.
Okay, yeah, I guess that's one of the big advantages of using medium format as well, is that lovely depth, even with the strobes. You get to really focus the attention where you want it.
Exactly. It's great.
Yeah, nice. Now, let's talk about editing for a little bit, because your editing style is one of my favorites in terms of portraits, because for the most part, you've been very consistent over the last couple of years. You have these clean, punchy, sort of crisp, very colourful tones, as we mentioned before.
Yep.
Did you ever get on the visco train the VSCO train, and what are your thoughts on the Visco revolution?
Okay, so back when I first really started shooting portraits
Yeah.
and band promos and stuff like that, I was doing a lot of editing and color grading in Photoshop and creating my own filters through there. But as my work increased, I decided that I would work with some, how do you say it? VSCO?
Yeah,
Visco?
I don't really know how to say it. I just say Visco. That's
Yeah.
probably wrong, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. I decided that I'd use something like that I work as a base for. So I definitely don't just leave it.
Yeah.
I definitely just use it as a base purely for a quicker turnaround.
Yeah.
So if I really need to export a gallery quite fast, I'll chuck on some Visco and then modify. So I'll change some greens, or I'll change some oranges, or change the luminance of their skin tones, or put some more contrast. I always try to remove the grain as well, because I don't want to export with grain. So yeah, it's basically I do edit the Visco quite a bit. Yeah.
What do you think about, because I've experimented as well and I can just never quite make it work for me. What do you think about using those style of presets or looks with strobes? Because I feel like they're pretty much made for natural light.
Yeah. Hard to say. Sometimes they will work, sometimes they won't. Yeah, it's definitely more for a natural look. But once again, if I apply the Visco filter to a studio portrait, I'm still going to edit. I'm still going to use it as a base and then edit from there. It's once again, always use it for quicker turnaround. So yeah, most of the time it works for me for studio portraits, but I'll edit it.
Yeah, sure. Just because in my experience, with the reason I've always liked shooting with strobes is because you just get you get nice deep shadows. You just really get that punch and that contrast without having to work for it in post.
Yeah, totally.
And so I feel like the Visco presets are made for natural light photos where possibly the contrast is a bit flat to begin with.
Exactly.
And it really brings out, the nice deep tones. Whereas apply that to something that's already quite punchy, I just find it kind of ruins it. And again, maybe I'm not using it right. But
yeah, I think using it as a base and then bringing back that contrast is definitely something I automatically do.
Yeah. One thing that I've found to be really useful about it is just to look at how I don't use it for the contrast and the tones as such, but just to look at what it does to the colors. Because sometimes some of them I really love the way it changes the colors, but I just can't stand the contrast, or the contrast doesn't suit my photo.
Yeah, that's the same reason I like the color tones as a base, and to see what potential this photo has and then go from there.
Okay, cool. Nice one. Well, can you walk us through your editing workflow a little bit then?
Sure. For just a regular portrait session or a creative one, or?
Yeah, well, let's say pre-Visco, how would you edit your portraits?
Okay.
Just a regular portrait.
Okay, regular portrait. I'm obviously going to finish the session, import it into Lightroom.
Yep.
I'm going to...
Sorry, straight from the card to Lightroom?
Yes.
So it's on your computer's hard drive?
I put it onto my external hard drive.
Yep, cool. So do I.
Everything goes on straight to there, and I give it a name, give it a category name or something like that, so that if I need to search for it later on, they're all there.
Yep.
I find that feature in Lightroom really great because at the Makeup Academy, I do lots of theme work. So when I import the images, I just rename the file to include like high fashion or historical or day evening. And if I ever need to find all of the day evening shots that I've ever done with the Makeup Academy, they're all there because of that file name.
Because of the keywords. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
I find that really, really helpful. Okay, so I've imported it and put it onto my hard drive. I'm going to sort through each of the images. Usually I don't go from the start because I just like find one that I really like and then start playing with that because I just already knew that I liked that photo or that set.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, for our session, I really, really liked the black studio backdrop where I can see your hands and knees. I really liked those with the strong shadows.
Okay.
So I went straight to that photo. I know you said pre-visco, but I've been doing that for a while. So I'm gonna just say that I put a little visco filter over the top.
Yep.
And
or
then,
whatever presets you have, I guess that applies the same. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I give it a bit of contrast. One thing that I really like in editing is playing with the luminance and the hue and saturation of all the colors.
Yep.
Because I find something that doesn't look normal usually stands out. So say if we're outside, I really like changing the greens to a more rusty orange.
Oh, so do I.
Yep. So it looks so beautiful. And maybe the luminance of their skin, so that glows really well.
Okay.
What else? Yeah, I like to play with a bit of contrast, bring out the shadows a little bit, have a little play, just a general enhancement. And then I do that for all of the shots. I don't really worry about the crop until the client has chosen their images.
Yep. So from there, you've done the basic edits on all of them.
Exactly. Yep. And
you've also deleted the blurry or
yep.
Whatever ones definitely
really like. Yep.
So how do you display them to the client from there?
Okay, so then I select them all and export a low-res version with my watermark over the top.
Yep.
To Dropbox, which I have a public folder which has all the low-res galleries to all of my clients. And I just export a gallery to there.
Yep.
Each person has their own folder, so the finals will go in that folder as well.
Just so it's all on the same link, just to not confuse it, I guess. Yep.
Yep, exactly. Just for emails, I can just copy the same link when I send the final delivery. So it just sits in Dropbox, and I wait for them to choose. Would you like me to go further, or?
Yeah. So the client comes back to you with their choices. Let's say 5 or 6 photos. What retouching? What further processing do you do to the photo from there?
Okay, I really like this part because it's
curious.
The final piece. It's the final artwork. Oh, yeah, I don't know. I guess there's nothing really to be curious about.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I just like seeing their choices, and I sometimes include my own favorites as well, just as a little bonus.
Okay, nice.
So I go in and star in Lightroom, like rate 1 to all the photos that they've chosen. And then I sort it by 1-star rating, and I select them all. I go through them all and I recrop it. I make any changes that I think needs to happen with the enhancement. So basically the major part is cropping and just getting it ready for Photoshop, basically.
Yep.
So I select all of those. I export in high resolution. I'm still trying to find an easy way around being able to transfer the file with its enhancements in Lightroom straight to Photoshop. I can't get like I still want it to be a raw file with those enhancements, which it doesn't really work. Yeah. So anyway. And then I place them all into Photoshop. And I go through any skin, retouching, removing bags under the eyes, clearing any necklines. If I need to, reshaping just a tiny, tiny bit, just purely for the art and the shape and the look of the photo.
Okay.
I will clean the background and make sure that no studio is seen in the backdrop. And then I will maybe play with some selective color in
Hmm.
Photoshop, and sometimes with some RGB curves. Um, and then I will just save it.
Okay. No sharpening at the end?
Mm, not all the time, no.
Okay.
Sharpening in Lightroom is
Okay, cool.
usually, yeah. And then I actually export resize versions for the client as well, so Facebook versions.
Perfect. So do you export from Photoshop or do you bounce it back to Lightroom and then export from
I
there?
Yeah, I bounce it back to Lightroom. I haven't found an easy way to export a Facebook ready photo from Photoshop.
No, especially when you have to do a whole bunch of them.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That's I definitely want to learn how to retouch skin like you do, so that's a nice little insight.
Ah, yes. So skin, sometimes I don't do it a lot for everyday people,
Yeah.
but for the Makeup Academy and the burlesque, especially the women, I have a action which uses a what's the technical word for
High
it?
pass filter?
Yeah, I think that's it.
Or unsharp mask maybe?
No, I think is there one that's like something to do with the exposure or a double? I'm not sure. Let's just go with high pass filter.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Well, that's
So
another way to do it, but
yeah,
yeah, maybe later
it's a long
I'll
time that I
find
made the
out
action.
from
So
you. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I just followed a tutorial on the internet.
Yeah,
I think it was like a Flern.
I love Flern.
Yes,
He's
go
so
for it.
lovely.
Yeah, he's amazing. Absolutely can't believe how much he does for us. It's
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic. Um, it was a tutorial on Flern that I followed and I created it into an action. And that was a fair few years ago, and it's been absolutely perfect ever since.
Hmm.
I use a specific brush to apply it. It's a set of skin brushes, so it has the same texture as skin.
Interesting.
So that's why it's not that really obvious airbrushed look. Is because it's not a soft, round, feathered brush.
Okay.
It's a skin textured brush. So that really really helps.
Okay, I'm gonna write that down.
Hmm.
Yeah, cool. Skin textured brush. Where'd you get the brush from, or did you make it?
Um, I think I found it on just one of those sort of like the Creative Market or the Honky app.
Okay.
I can send you the links
Yeah,
at
cool.
the end if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd love to have a look at
Um,
that one.
but even just doing a quick Google search of skin textured brush, I think I've sent some to Lachlan before, so I can send you a link so that you guys can download it or something like that.
Yeah, maybe we can put it in the show notes or something.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice one. Have you ever had a shoot that just hasn't gone right?
Um, Let me just have a little think about this for a second, PJ. There's been a few band
Hmm.
promos where I'm shooting in the sun and my lens isn't focusing properly.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have a lot of problems with the way my focus works outside. I'm not sure, it's probably big. This was when I didn't upgrade my lens. So it was pretty much, we were at the Wacol Mental Asylum
Okay.
and I was shooting this band and I just didn't get even one great group shot, which is really unfortunate. And it was purely because of technical difficulties, basically.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's all I can really say. I don't really have any that I can really pinpoint at the moment.
I honestly
Sorry.
think that's okay. I honestly think that focusing in those group pictures is probably the hardest thing about the whole shoot, just because
Yeah,
it's such a fine line. You know, do you focus on the guy that's like second from the front
exactly.
to try and get the back and the front guy in focus,
Yeah,
or do you just stop down the aperture heaps and then pump up the strobes, but then lose some of the
yeah,
background, or
exactly. It's such a
especially
messy process.
yeah, it's such a fine line, and you kind of really have to know not only your gear, but you have to know kind of your distances as well.
Totally.
Like
Definitely
I've
knowing your gear as well. Yeah.
yeah, obviously if you step back a bit, it's kind of forgiving, but that might not be the, what's you call it, the composure of the shot that you like.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I haven't been doing as much as them, and it's purely because I just find it gets a little under pressure. And that's probably where we differ, because you really like doing the band promos and you're not sure about posing one person. So
yeah, I that's very much in my comfort zone, the group thing, because I feel like you don't have that pressure of one person, directly interacting with you. It's sort of like you can take the pressure off everyone by making it about the group.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's something that I'm committed to improving.
Cool. Me too.
So apart from that shoot, it sounds like you've never really had something that you can't deliver in the end in some way.
Exactly. Seeing the beauty in any shots, like I try and see it as art rather than a technically perfect, flawless image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's a little bit subjective in that way, or objective. Wait, what's the word?
Yeah.
So open to a bit of interpretation, as opposed to trying to, whip out a light meter and
totally.
pixel peep or whatever.
Yeah. So even the other day, I was going through some shots for a model sort of test, and I had a few there where I had too low of a shutter speed, stupidly enough.
Mm-hmm.
But I just took it for what it was, with that little bit of blur, and just appreciated it for what it was instead of deleting it straight away because it was a blurry image.
Yeah.
And made something out of it, and I'm really, really happy with the shot.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's definitely something that I have to keep reminding myself of, and I still get nervous before, usually not when I am shooting, but in probably the half an hour to an hour before a shoot, I still get nervous just about every time.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I just have to remind myself that there's not been a shoot or situation yet where I haven't delivered something that the client's been happy with.
Yeah.
So I don't know, sometimes we just have to put a little bit more faith in ourselves, I think. I think I'm my own worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's nice to be nervous though, because all of that comes out in the session as well. Like you work with it, and I don't think you would stuff up or anything like that. It just, I think, like they say with exams or whatever, it's better to be nervous because you'll get a better score because you're putting yourself under pressure, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it shows you care, I guess. It shows that it really matters to you.
Yeah, it shows your passion, definitely.
Yeah, it's just sort of something that runs through my head before most shoots. And
me too.
Yeah, I think we must all feel that to some degree.
Yeah, that's all right.
So moving on a little bit, how do you keep yourself sharp creatively?
I think it's really important to keep doing creative projects, just collaborations with other artists, making sure you go back to your first inspirations, like other photographers.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll always just occasionally pop into Amber Gray's website, which is everything that I want to be, and then sometimes Joey L, just for that flawless portrait sort of look, that really professional aesthetic to it. So just looking at inspiration and making sure that you're always collaborating and thinking of new ideas to photograph, because usually they're going to be your favorites.
Yeah. I'm going to write those. I've written both those names down, Amber Gray and Joey L. So
correct.
Maybe I'll grab the links off you and we'll put them in the show notes afterwards so people can check them out.
Yep. Even before this interview, I pulled up both their pages, just had a quick skim, and just remembered who I am, why I'm doing it, and what I'm aiming to be.
That's really nice. I like it. So one of the first things that I found out about you, apart from the band promos, because we have some mutual friends. We both shot Road to Ransom. We have some other friends, and I really loved and appreciated your band promos. Mm-hmm. But one of the first things that I really loved before I even knew you was your selfies, your creative selfies.
Thank you for bringing that up.
Can you talk to that a little bit? Because that when I said the question before about how do you keep yourself sharp creatively, you used to always have these fantastic personal projects happening.
Yeah.
Do you still have time for that sort of thing?
For my self-portraits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely always will make time, but it's also a case of what you're feeling at the time as well. Um, so even though the portraits can be inspired by a film, a costume that I bought, or a person that I've met, or who I truly, truly wish I could be in another world, or something like that. Even though it's all inspired by that, it's also what you want to express at the time. So at the moment, for the past month or year or whatever, I've been pretty content and really happy with how everything's going. So I haven't really needed to express anything or touch base with anything inside me. So yeah, definitely wouldn't ever not do any portraits because of time. I definitely always make time for portraits.
Okay. You just haven't felt the need.
Yeah, exactly. Just haven't, nothing's really sparked up at the moment.
Okay. Interesting. Because a lot of those portraits you had what seemed like some actually pretty involved composites.
Yeah.
How do you shoot those? Do you light them all separately, or is it just a case of you put them in the environment, maybe separately from the photo of you, and using the same lighting, you sort of like mask and layer them in? How does that work?
So I'll use the space portrait as an example, because that was probably the most involved. And it actually worked out so simply and easily, which I'm so surprised about.
Okay.
And it was like the quickest shoot on Earth. On Earth, get it? Ha ha ha.
On Mars.
Okay, so I went down to to the end of my street where they were about to do some construction, like put up some units, unfortunately. Which is where a lot of other portraits have been taken there as well.
Okay, just a bit of space to use.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
But
space, get it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was horrible.
But I was looking for like the dirt mounds to somehow relate to another planet, and they were there. So I was like, yes, this is it. So there was trees in the background, which I didn't want, but I'll start again. So I arrived at the location where the dirt mounds were, and I set up my light. It was a really windy day. It was about to rain. I set up the lights, set up the tripod, set up the camera, stepped into place. I had my friend there who makes sure that it's in focus, and then I press the remote. So I stand into my place. She's also sort of looking at the back of the camera and letting me know if there's any poses, like any leg movements that I need to change or anything like that.
Okay.
And I'll be docking back and forth and be looking at it. But it was about 3 to 4 minutes of shooting.
Okay, that's really quick.
Yeah, so I just did a few random poses, just made sure I was in my zone, got my pose correct. I was this awesome space cadet girl, and I'm just like ready to take over with my awesome gun or whatever it is. And standing, I was actually, I think I was holding a. Sorry, it was so long ago. I think
it was a gun or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it wasn't composed. That was actually like a fake gun.
Nice.
So yeah, that's right. So yeah, I was just looking off into away from camera, got my strong, stern squint on, and so basically, when you're looking at that image, you can see that all the dirt around me is true.
Okay.
Those dirt mounds behind me are true. So I think that's why I really like it so much, is because most of it is what it is. Like, it is what the location looked like. I basically covered up my feet with a bit more cloning just to make sure that it looked like I was really like in the dirt. I added some smoke around it. What was the original question? Am I going in the
No,
right?
you're going great guns. Keep it up.
um, I added the smoke in, which is looming around me. Then I put in obviously all the extras in Photoshop. So I think there's about one, two, two composited images. So the ones with the big ice cap mountains in the background.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
Yep, me too. So that was an additional image, and I just chucked that behind those dirt mounds,
Mm-hmm.
and then the space planet and everything. Obviously, yep, just chucked in behind it
Yep.
again. The color tones as well, so that purpley sort of pinky dark tones really connects it all. I made sure that was applied to the entire shot rather than each layer.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, I think I was just over the moon with that photo. Ha ha ha.
Oh, the puns keep rolling.
No, I was really happy with that. And I think only because, as I said before, is most of it is a natural environment, and I've just replaced the sky.
Yeah, and you've matched the tones so well. You mentioned that you apply those tones kind of globally instead of to a layer at a time,
Exactly.
and I think that's why it works so well, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
It's funny, I don't know too much about composites or the whole process. I've only done the absolute most basic version, photoshopping the chair out from underneath you, or
Yeah.
some of those really simple ones. But I actually thought the only reason I thought this was a composite, and it's not because it looks like it, it's just because your feet are hidden. And I just know from
Yeah.
experience that that's the hardest part, to get someone to look like they're actually standing somewhere.
Yeah. Yep. And I
But
think that cloning really worked for that.
yeah.
Leaning up against that rock as well on the right side of my foot.
Okay, yeah. Was that rock really there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
Have you had any sort of photographic education? How did you learn all this?
Yeah, so I went to TAFE for multimedia and for photo imaging. So a year at multimedia and a year of photo imaging.
Yep.
And I think the multimedia really, really helped me. I just love all things kind of nerdy, I guess,
Okay.
with social media and graphics and design and photos, obviously. So that multimedia really, really helped me with my business.
That's cool. What was the other one? Photo imaging?
Photo imaging, yes. So
Yeah.
in photo imaging, I learned some studio work. There was a lot of theory. I can't say that I got a lot out of it because I think that with photography, it's what you make of it.
Okay.
And I know that's a typical answer, but that's what I honestly think.
Yeah.
I guess, yep.
I was just going to say, it's like that thing of learning how to drive a car. You only really learn how to drive once you get your license.
Yeah.
It's like
Yep.
you can learn all you can in TAFE in kind of, or, uni in a controlled environment, but unless you take it and can actually work it and apply it yourself, then it's sort of like you haven't learnt anything.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Is that how you feel about your course a little bit?
Yeah, totally. I just sort of touched base on a few things. I didn't really overly study, or I didn't really overly listen, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
I just, I took the main thing that I remember taking from it is light and how it shapes the body. So we got some time in the studio to be able to shape light with the soft boxes and adding in more than one light. And taking it step by step, like adding in one light, seeing what that does, then adding in another light and seeing what that does, then adding in another light and seeing what that does.
Okay, so is that how you still structure your lighting setups from today? You sort of just add it in gradually, piece by piece?
Yeah, most of the time I'm pretty confident with how the lights are set up at the moment, like how I use them, so I don't always have to do it. But
Okay.
but definitely, if it's a new photo shoot with a new idea, then that's a fantastic way to go about it, because sometimes you can't pinpoint what's going wrong, and just eliminating that, having to pick out what's wrong, rather. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just being able to isolate it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because like I feel like half of our job as photographers and trying to make portraits of people is just troubleshooting.
Yeah, totally. And moving furniture, 99% moving furniture.
Okay.
To me, anyway.
I haven't had to do too much of that. But maybe if you ever apply for a furniture removalist job, you've got some experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, in that case, how do you think about lighting group portraits compared to individual ones? Do you still do it step by step, and how do the setups differ? Sorry, that's a pretty tough question to just throw at you out of the blue.
No, that's all right. It's just that I don't do a lot of group shots anymore, that's all.
Okay.
Um,
Do you sort of just rock the one light?
no, I do like a bit of fill. I always do like a bit of key light, sorry.
Yep.
Just to really make things pop and make them stand out. So it's the same as portrait lighting, really, but just a little bit further out and maybe a stronger power or something like that. I can't see anything majorly different.
Okay. Can you still achieve the same quality of light that you want by doing that?
I find I'd probably need bigger softboxes in the long run, especially like the main light needs to be bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything's relatively what I want. So yeah. Sorry, weird question for me.
No, that's okay. Do you have? I noticed in your lighting setup it's quite a sturdy, but it's a straight Pulsey buff stand.
Yes.
Do you have any booms that you use?
I've just got a mini boom, but I would absolutely adore I think you've linked me one on eBay before.
Yeah.
I'd love a much longer correct one. It's just a mini one that I use for portrait sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, that's definitely a big part of the way I shoot, being able to get the light up and over, which means I can kind of have a little bit more freedom with composing the shot, not having the light stand in the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Just on the topic of group photos while we're here, do you find that if you're shooting a group of people, then the location is much more important, so it doesn't have that school photo feel?
Yeah, definitely. I think a group portrait always should be in a very interesting environment, just because I feel like group shots, there's so much more than a portrait. It's a portrait is very one focus, like one story, one frame. But with a group shot, it's how would you describe it?
It's kind of about the interactions as well. Like it's how they fit in together with each other in the photo.
Yeah, it's all about that connection, and I'm not sure how to explain it, but yeah, it definitely is something different from a portrait. So I think location is very, very important.
Do you get a chance to do much on location stuff these days?
I try to with my personal projects, because I absolutely love studio light on set, on location.
Yeah.
I think it's such a beautiful, unique aesthetic, and it's like I can almost make it kind of fantasy looking, and there's so much more texture and color, and it's so much more punchy. So I try to request it to lots of people, but also just for ease of like basic portrait sessions, I just do it inside my studio. So yeah, mainly for creative personal projects is where I like to stay outside.
Okay, cool. It's funny when someone who is not kind of familiar with photography and this style of shooting, when they see a photo shot outside with strobes, they can't kind of separate the fact that there must be artificial lighting. They just say, "Oh my god, it's so clear."
Yeah. Some people like get really confused that I use artificial lighting outside, because they're like, "Oh, is there not enough sun or aren't you just going to use the sun? And I'm like, I know it makes sense to you.
Yeah, I get it. I do get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you must have a really great camera.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it for today,
Hate that.
Caitlin.
I hate that.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just said I really hate when someone says that. It's so upsetting. It's like heartbreaking.
Look, it is, but you can't sort of blame him because it's just
Yeah.
ignorance. It's
Yeah.
not. It's nothing malicious. Like,
Yeah. I love how you're always seeing the positive in all my answers. Like,
oh
I think that I'm a positive person, but then you're like 10 notches more
no,
positive.
I'm not. You are a ray of sunshine, KTV.
No, that's funny.
No, it's just it frustrates me as well. Of course it does, but like I've been shooting some pop shows. I've been shooting some pop bands recently, and the fans are so great. Like they want to jump in the photos with the band members afterwards. And a while ago I posted some on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and then one of the fans was like, "Oh, that photo is so good. Do you mind if I use it for my profile? Whatever. The lighting's amazing. You must have the best camera. What is it? I want to get one for Christmas." And
Oh.
one part of me hates it, but the other part, it's there's nothing bad meant by it.
Yeah.
She just wants to make photos like
Exactly.
that. Anyway, moving right along. That's just about all I have time for you today, Caitlin.
Excellent.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for asking once again.
No, I've really enjoyed it, and I've certainly learned a lot. There's a couple of things that I'm going to look into, particularly skin retouching. I really want to improve that part of my game.
Yeah, no worries. Ask me anything. I'll help out where I can.
Okay, fantastic. What's getting you excited at the moment, work-wise, professionally?
I just booked in my first interstate photo shoot with a burlesque sort of shoot, 3 people, as in 3 separate shoots at this beautiful vintage burlesque place called Mason Burlesque in Richmond.
In Melbourne?
Yes, in
cool.
Melbourne. Sorry.
See you very soon.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I can't believe people were interested. Like, I'd never thought at this stage that I'd be able to grab any bookings, but it looks like it's really, really good. They're going to be shooting some more promotional shots, which is I think is great because it's not just another shoot, it's for a purpose.
Excellent.
Yeah, so it's good to be creating some new networks down there.
Yeah, and flying around the country like a rock star.
Yes.
Nice.
So good.
Where can we send people to check out your stuff, Caitlin?
I'd love people to check out my website, which is www.ktbdesign.net.
Yep.
I know websites are fading out, but I would really appreciate if you can just dial it into Safari or whatever, Chrome, and just hop on there and have a look.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes because that's where all the super high quality photos are. Are you on Instagram as well?
Yep, Instagram is KTB says relax, and my hashtag is KTB design.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll put those. I'll link it up as well. And if anyone would like to contact KTB, you can either hit her on the website with the email or through Instagram, and I'll get her to read the comments on this blog post as well.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Hope you've had a productive and creative day, and I appreciate you taking an hour of your time to talk to me.
No worries.
And we'll leave it there.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'll talk to you very soon. Thanks again, Caitlin.
Okay, bye.
Bye, take care. That is all she wrote for another week of the Music Photo Podcast. Thank you so much for listening and making it until the very end. I really appreciate you. As always, the show notes can be found at bigpantsphoto.com/podcast. I'll link up Caitlin's work, her inspirations, and anything else that needs to go in there that you might be interested in. If you're enjoying the podcast so far, it would mean ever so much to me if you could leave us a review on iTunes. It only takes a couple of seconds of your time and it helps the show get rated and appear high in the search results. So people who could use this information and benefit from it will find it more easily. I also have a free ebook available on my website. It's at bigpantsphoto.com/ebook. And all you got to do is pop in your email address. I'll send it right to you. It is about exactly what you need to get started in band promo photography on the cheap. From the bottom of my bottom, thanks again for listening. I really appreciate you, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.